here we have the new ID.4 from Volkswagen. VW Press have kindly lent us this car so we can take it down to VW Action at Santa Pod this weekend. Now this is the first time that I've driven an electric car, and in the run up to today I was quite apprehensive about being able to get to Santa Pod and back with a little bit of range anxiety. I've had a look and there is no chargers at Santa Pod, so I was a little bit apprehensive about how I was going to manage. But as it turns out, the car's arrived with just over 200 miles of range in the tank, so to speak. Now I've plumbed in our location, and I don't know if we can see on the screen here, but we've got 101 miles to go and I've got 206 miles of range. And I think the biggest factor for anybody looking at the viability of an electric car is the range and the charging infrastructure, and how's it all going to work. Now overall, I'm really surprised at how well I've adjusted to an electric car. It's the first time I've driven an electric car, and when I jumped in I was like, okay, where's the start button? How do I turn this thing on? You simply press your foot onto the foot brake and pop it into drive or reverse, and then press the go pedal. It really is as simple as that. It was a bit bizarre the first time I set off, but I quite like it. It's very simple. It's very, very simple to drive. Point and go, if you like. So the one thing that I am taking a little bit of getting used to though is that everything's touch buttons. There's no knobs or switches to flick. It's all touch button control. I like the button functions of the traditional Volkswagen steering wheel that they have currently. The buttons that we have on our Polo, what we had on our Tiguan, they were nice. I could feel where they were. These buttons on here, they have got indents and ridges, but if you start to swipe your thumb over some of those, then it starts to control the infotainment system. And yeah, I think that's just taking a little bit of getting used to. So I'm not so sure on that bit, but in terms of driving and comfort, it's nice. I like it. It's really easy to drive. Just before we bought our last car, we've recently bought ourselves a Polo after having a Tiguan for a few years, and we decided that we didn't need all the luxury extras and the bits and pieces that came on the Tiguan, just for tootling to work and back. But I'd said that maybe in a few years time our next car would probably be electric, and after driving this now, I probably wish I'd have paid more attention to the electric cars that were available. Maybe an ID.4. It really is nice. Those added extras. And right now I'm driving with adaptive cruise control on, so I can just point the car in the right direction. Obviously I'm still watching what I'm doing, so I've still got my foot hovering there over the pedals. Yeah, adaptive cruise, stick that on, 70 mile an hour, and it's really lazy driving, and I love it. So yeah, so maybe maybe we went too far in cheaping out on those basics and going for the Polo. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Polo's a nice drive. It's a nice car to drive. So I've still got cruise control. I miss adaptive cruise. Having it back again now. But in terms of performance, this thing's it's pretty nippy. I mean, it weighs over 2.2 tons. It's a bit of a monster in that respect. But in terms of its performance, it's quite sprightly. 0 to 62 in 8.5 seconds. So with a full battery, the range is claimed to be, I believe it's 322 miles. So more than enough to get me to work and back with no problems, and do me a few days without having to worry about where I'm going to top up. Obviously, if you own an electric car, then the sensible thing is to have a charging point at home, but I guess that's not possible for everybody. And I think these are just the things that we've got to that the industry has got to overcome. How do those people that live in terraced houses, where you walk straight out onto the street, no garden, no driveway, how are we going to have a charging infrastructure at that? Surely we can't have extension cables running over footpaths. So yeah, I mentioned earlier before that I'm driving on adaptive cruise control, and I think adaptive cruise control is a great addition to modern cars. I'm actually following Claire down to the pod. She's driving our camper van down, and normally when you're, I don't know if anybody else finds it the same as me, but when you're following somebody else, it's incredibly boring. Trying to match their speed, you can't keep up with them, watch what they're doing, watch what you're doing, watch what's going on around all of you. Adaptive cruise control does it all for me. It's brilliant. I love it. But with that, it comes with that frontal impact sensor as well, that watches out what's going on and reacts quicker than you can with the brake should anything bad happen up ahead. So there is a particular driving assistant that I really do like, and that's the lane assist. And we had this on our Tiguan, and it's fantastic. Once you're going over a certain speed, the car recognises where the white lines are. So, and if you're not paying attention, if you're starting to get a bit fatigued or anything like that, then the car looks after you. It keeps you safe. It keeps you in your lane. So as long as the car is recognising those white lines, and as long as you're going over a certain speed, there's a little green light that appears on the dashboard, and that tells you that it knows where you are. And ultimately,
70 mile per hour speed.
What you can do is essentially let the car drive itself. With adaptive cruise control and lane assist, the car's almost autonomous. It will drive, it will turn, it will follow the road. Obviously, it's not an autonomous car, and we shouldn't rely on it. But if the car needs to keep you safe, then it will do it. I think that's brilliant. Technology is amazing. Let's just get around these cars then. Just hold on. Just clear this little bit of traffic, and then I'll talk to you again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about comfort. These seats are lovely. So I can't remember the names of the colours that they are, and they're not particular colours that I choose, but you know what? They're lovely and comfy to sit in. So there's just the right amount of hug on my back, and you know, I'm not a slim fella, and you know, some more huggy racing seats can squash me in a little bit. But these are lovely. Just hugging me, just nicely.
70 mph speed limit camera ahead.
Giving me a nice cuddle. Okay, so we've just pulled off the motorway. We've now got 16 miles left to go, and I've still got 138 miles left in the range, which I think, yeah, it works out. I've got 22 miles left, more than what I expected. So this range thing isn't doing too bad, and you know what? I might even make it home on the same charge. But I don't know how gutsy I am. I don't know if I dare. We've just spent the best part of 2 hours on the motorway, and I'm still comfy. These seats are still giving me a nice little cuddle. I'm happy. I'm not fatigued. It's just been a really easy drive, despite there being a bit of traffic. I found it really easy. The car makes it effortless. It's just an effortless drive. So I do love the turn of speed. Just when there's just that little bit of a gap that you just need to get into, the power of delivery is just instant. There's no turbo lag, there's no lugging, there's no over revving, there's no red line. It's just instant power whenever you need it. Okay, now our current car, we're supposed to have that for the next 4 years. We only bought it in the beginning of June. Can I wait 4 years to get an electric car? I don't know. I really do look forward to seeing what developments happen. I really do. I've had a great weekend at the Santa Pod, and this car has had so much interest. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody as much about a particular car that's been on our club stand in all the times that I've been coming along. And I know for definite that we could have sold at least 2 of them while we were here. So it's been an absolutely fantastic weekend. The sun's been shining. Loads of folk around. And some great partying. It's been awesome. Now time for the drive home. Okay, so let's have a bit of a talk about some of the things that we've noticed, or things that we've talked about with other people this weekend. First off, quite a lot of people have commented on the pedals, the brake and the accelerator. We've got a little pause sign and a play sign on, and everybody's pointed that out as a little quirk, a little bit of fun. The other one that we've had a lot of questions about whether the car's got a frunk, whether there is storage space under the bonnet. But no, there isn't. There's still gadgets and gizmos that you'd find in an engine bay under there. Brake fluid, washer fluid. There's even a coolant tank. Now I've not looked into why there's a coolant tank there, but I can only presume that there is some sort of coolant that keeps the batteries cool, or the motor cool, sorry, while the car's being driven. There is what looks to be a large fan there, so I'm guessing that there's some sort of radiator of sorts too. But no storage space. The boot, however, has had a lot of comments about how spacious it is. I think a lot of people expect that there will be batteries stored in the boot or under the bonnet. But from what I understand, the batteries are built in at floor level to give the car that low centre of gravity. And I really do notice that with the handling. For something that weighs 2.2 tons, it's still quite nimble. quite surprised by that. I did expect it to be a bit wallowy. So what else have we talked about this weekend? The door handles. The door handles don't essentially pull like a traditional door handle would. More like a modern boot handle, where there's a little pressure switch under the back. You pull that and that pops the door. That's quite funky. When people have been having a look, they've noticed that and not been a traditional door handle as such. Other people have pointed out the controls, all the touch buttons, while still being in familiar layouts to the traditional rotational and sliders and actual push buttons. Just the touch function, yeah, I think that's just going to take a little bit of getting used to. Okay, the one thing that I don't like, the touch button controls on the infotainment system, along with the touch button controls just underneath the infotainment system. While you're driving along and you're trying to control elements of the car, you've got your finger out, a bit like E.T. But even with a steady hand, the movement of the road, your finger's all over the place. And I tried to select maps on the screen using CarPlay, and instead I selected the phone because my finger's bouncing all over the place instead. So you use your fingers on the little ledge that's underneath the screen to just steady yourself, but then you end up changing the volume or the fan speed or the temperature because it's all touch sensitive controls. It's a bit of a bad choice of placement, I think, for those buttons, but there we go. I've talked to a lot of people this weekend about the price point of this car. This car, being the ID first, on the road retail price is £40,800. Now people have looked at the car and they've been surprised by that. They expected the car to be a lot more money, 45, 50, £55,000. One person even said to me that they expected it to be £100,000. So, but don't get any ideas, VW. Yeah, I like the price point. Another thing that's been pointed out by people this weekend is how well they think the car looks and sits. They're aware of the car. They've seen they've seen the publications, the press releases, the adverts. They've seen all that. And when they've seen it, they've said and commented that they think the car looks much, much better in the metal than what it does in the press pictures. Now, is that to do with the colour of the car that's been pictured? Yeah, the press releases have used a dark blue ID.4 or like a goldy yellow colour. This one, with its pearl white, it's really gleamed in the sun this weekend. And I think that has drawn a lot of people in. Like I say, I've never spoken to so many people about a car at a show. It's been awesome. So I'm just really disappointed in Ecotricity. When I had a look on the app, on the Zap map, problems with those chargers at Leicester Forest services northbound had been reported 3 weeks ago. Now, how can the infrastructure for electric cars grow if we can't even rely on the charging stations in the services? They're the last ditch attempt. Okay, I've plumbed in to Zap map where I'm going and how much range I've got, and it tells me that there's a charging station in 40 miles. It's the only one on my route that's working. Now this is quite scary because I've only got 42 miles range left. And I don't know if I'm going to get there. Okay, I'm a bit further into my journey to the next charging point now. And I'm starting to get a little less anxious. I've got 31 miles left to go. And my range has actually gone up on the car to 44 miles. So whether that's because we're on free-flowing roads now and the car's just adapted, because we're not sat in any crawling traffic anymore, I don't know, but it's getting a bit touchy there and it's getting a bit nervous. Well, hopefully we should be okay. Okay, so this is one of the things that I'm talking about with the touch controls. I've just gone to adjust this air vent just down here to direct the airflow a little bit more towards my face. It's getting a bit warm in here, and I've turned the aircon off just to try and conserve a little bit of range and make sure I get to my destination. But while I was turning the vents up a little bit, I managed to catch the fog light switch with my little finger. I don't need fog lights. I don't need touch buttons. Just give me a dial. Let me turn fog lights on with a proper switch. Okay, so the car's started to try and scare me now with charging level and range. It's just flashed up on all my screens that I really need to recharge. The battery is now down to 90%. It started showing the details in red. It still says that I've got 30 miles range and I've got 21 miles to go to the charger. I just really hope that this charge is working when I get there. Okay, we're coming up to the junction where hopefully we're going to find some charge. But we're down to single figures now on the range. And on some of the hills, and I've been watching that range drop, it's been quite twitchy.
Use the left lane to take exit 29A onto A6192 towards Markham Vale.
And that's the best news I've heard all week. 9 miles range still to go. We've got 0.9 of a mile to go to our destination. I just hope this charge. Okay, so that's another failed charging attempt. Those chargers are both in use, and looking at the details on the screen, it looks like they've only just connected. Luckily, not too far away, just in the other car park over here, there's some other chargers. Not quite as powerful. These only apparently give a 50 kilowatt charge, not the 100 kilowatt of the other ones, but something's better than nothing. Oh, this car park's only for them customers. No way. I'm just gonna have to go for it. Can't see any cameras. We'll see. See what happens. Okay, so we've managed to get plugged in onto a faster charger. Try and get some more power put in so that I can get home, and then the chaps that come and pick the car back up, I'll have enough to get to wherever they're going. So I'm plugged in onto this one. This is an InstaVolt, capable of delivering 125 kilowatts of power. Now at the minute here, we're adding 71 kilowatts of power, which seems to be going up and up and up. I don't know, just dropped a bit. So, not quite sure why we're not getting 125 kilowatt. There's nobody plugged in on any of the other chargers. So, but still a little bit faster than the 50 kilowatts that I plugged into a moment ago. So hopefully we'll get some charge and we'll be able to get on his way shortly. I think it's really unfair to give this car any sort of bad review because of the charging infrastructure failures. It's not the car. The car is absolutely amazing. I really have fallen in love with it.